Hi, I need more retro games to play. I have a very bad habit of playing the same ones over and over again. I'm looking at you, Sonic Adventure. So recently, I did a live game-a-thon where I put a ton of suggested games I'd never played before on a wheel and spun it periodically so I could try a bunch of new stuff out. And I found a couple that I really liked a lot, so I thought it would be cool to share them with you guys and maybe even make it a monthly series where I just talk about retro games I've been enjoying recently. I don't want to get too into the nitty-gritty of every last detail like an in-depth review would. I'm mostly just here to say why I've had fun with each game, what I like about them, etc. So if you've been looking for some quick game recommendations, you've come to the right place because, to be perfectly honest, I don't think I could make one of those hour-long videos if I tried. So let's get into it. Clenoa is a series I'd heard the name of and I'd seen the little guy before, but outside of that I had zero clue what it was. Which is not really surprising, I guess, because apparently the series was not all that popular in North America. And I don't personally get that because the first game at least is one of my new favorite things ever. Clenoa, the Door to Phantom Isle, is so charming and adorable I almost had a brain aneurysm. Not actually, but you know, it's very cute and I was very excited about that. For anyone who doesn't know, since again it was not super popular in some places, Clenoa is a 2.5D platformer for the PS1, which is unique to me at least because I can't say I've played a 2.5D game before that I can remember anyway. So it was really fun and interesting because I do love my platformers as bad as I am at them, and this was a new way to enjoy them. There's an added difficulty to the platforming because instead of just side-scrolling, the levels twist and turn around, which can make it hard to land where you want sometimes, but that's not a bad thing at all. A little challenge is fun and the level design makes the game all the more interesting for me. The controls themselves are really enjoyable and kind of force you to use your head in a very mild way. Your attack grabs enemies and blows them up like balloons, and then you'll use them to shoot at other enemies or switches, or use them to get an extra jump so you can reach areas you couldn't otherwise. I found myself sometimes not realizing right away that there was something in the background I needed to shoot at in order to progress the stage, like my mind was really stuck on what was immediately on either side of me when Clenoa can actually aim forwards and backwards as well. So at least for me it forced me to use my modest amount of brain cells a bit more than usual. As far as the story, even though that's not really what I was there for at first, I was just enjoying the cute platformer, I do appreciate that it's actually got some darker stuff in there under the whimsy on the surface. Not to spoil anything, but it low-key gets pretty sad in some places. There's something about a cute game that's actually got some substance to it that really hits the spot. I seriously have no complaints at all with this game. I love it and will most definitely be trying the other Clenoa games that are out there. Although Sly Cooper is not as adorable as Clenoa, it's really stylish for its age, and it's one of the most genuinely fun games I've played in a long time. I do not have a lot of experience playing games where stealth is a core mechanic, especially alongside platforming, and I'm wondering now if I've been missing out or if it's just the way that Sly Cooper does it is incredibly fun. Something I've been noticing a bit more recently is that while I tend to gravitate towards casual gaming experiences, I still want to use my head a little sometimes, since it's a lot more fun and good for the brain wrinkles, and I think stealth is a fun way to do that actually, since I am the opposite of stealthy naturally, so I need to put more thought into what I do and how I do it. But regardless of that, I think Sly Cooper is really good for a casual experience since it's overall pretty laid back and not all that difficult. The platforming is pretty forgiving and the controls are easy to get the hang of, so it's not at all a stressful experience, aside from that crab minigame anyway. I was streaming this my first time I played it, and so of course my attention was divided between the game and reading my chat, so I didn't even realize for a good couple of minutes that I was not only meant to shoot the crabs but also the treasure chests. Even after I actually knew what to do though, the minigame was still pretty chaotic, I'm not gonna lie. Sly Cooper is not just fun, but it's also really charming too. Not in a cute way, but in a more cartoonish way. It kind of gives me Saturday morning cartoon vibes, and honestly, I can get with that. One small detail I really got a kick out of was how you can move the characters' heads around during dialogue like this with the analog sticks. It's very pointless and stupid, but I thought it was very funny for those exact reasons. I've heard mention that Sly Cooper 2 is much better than Thievius Raccoonus, the first one, so I'm really excited to try that out because I've had a ton of fun so far with this one. Fatal Frame is weird, but in a really good way. It does a really amazing job of making the atmosphere super creepy, like genuinely unsettling, and then the voice acting is so funny you have a hard time taking any of it very seriously at all, but I actually really vibe with it. When I heard the opening monologue, I was immediately reminded of number 15, Burger King foot lettuce, and I knew I was in for a good time.
My big brother. He was so sweet and kind.
The gameplay is a little tedious to me if I'm being honest, since there's a lot of back and forth, and the controls are very clunky, and the photography mechanic is cool but not that much fun in my opinion. But this game is still just so awesomely strange, I don't have it in me to care. I 1000% am not trying to talk bad about Fatal Frame. I think the vibe combo we get with the horror elements and the voice direction is absolutely peak, and if this was at all intentional, I think whoever was in charge is a genius. And if it wasn't intentional, I'm glad it turned out like that anyway, because I don't usually find horror games very enjoyable. Fatal Frame is a huge exception for me. I've never really understood what people meant when they said something was campy before, but now I think I get it, and I like it. I don't have as many thoughts on Fatal Frame as I did with the other games, since my enjoyment ultimately just comes down to it makes me laugh, but it's still kind of scary. But if that kind of thing interests you, I'd highly recommend it. Anyway, those are the retro games I've been enjoying the most the past month. If you have any you think I should try out for next time, feel free to let me know in the comments, and you might see me streaming them on Twitch sometime soon before I make a video about them. Big shout out to my patrons for all the support, and if you'd also like to support the channel like an absolute Chad, I'll leave my Patreon link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!